savage gunman.
We have to fund our police. You know, we've gotten, I mean, for crying out loud, they actually had people who are defunding the police. You go to Oregon right now, I went and it's
Real talk, no filter on Savaged Unfiltered. Savaged.
Hey guys, what is going on? What is going on? Welcome to the show, guys. Thank you very much for joining us here. As we normally like to live stream a little bit of the program, we like to do teasers, guys, to whoever may be joining us here. So you're getting a little glimpse of it. I noticed some people coming in to some of the platforms that we're viewing or airing on. Excuse me. Morning coffee hasn't sunk through yet, guys. So thank you very much to those who are joining us here on X, including Rumble. So just little teaser snippets that we put in the show. Normally we don't do the full show, but if you are viewing us on those platforms, thank you very much. Get the comments in as we will plug them in. We do have a featured guest joining us today. He wrote in a book, actually, featuring Shakespeare, William Shakespeare. And he says that he has some evidence proving that William Shakespeare did not write the book Shakespeare. Interesting. Because that's a lot of claims, right, on his behalf to say that he has evidence, solid evidence, that William Shakespeare did not write the book Shakespeare. So I want to find out. I really do. But without further ado, let's bring in our guest, Robert Boog. Is that how you say your name? Is it Robert Boog?
Right. It's Robert Boog, like Boogeyman.
Okay. So tell us, Robert. I want to start off with the evidence part, right, before we get into your book. You're claiming, sir, that you have solid evidence, I guess through some courts and other things here with my notation that you were kind enough to send us here, that the actual man himself, William Shakespeare, did not write the book Shakespeare.
Well, he didn't write the plays, sonnets, and poems attributed to William Shakespeare. So it's not a book. It's the entire Shakespeare canon.
Okay.
And the man's name is Edward de Vere. He's been long associated with being the true Shakespeare. And so, but nowadays, if you go online and stuff, that you'll see these claims that this is a subject that it's already been decided. William Shakespeare definitely wrote the works attributed to Shakespeare, and no one should ever question it. And they'll give you what they call a prima facie argument that Shakespeare wrote Shakespeare. His name is on these old quartos. It's on the first folio, which was a collection of his 35 plays. It's on the book of his sonnets, and it's kind of like they look at it as like a done deal. So what my book does, it's a fictional book because I have the reader go back in time and have William Shakespeare come to a trial here in Los Angeles in the year 2024. So the evidence that I'm bringing to the forefront has not been looked at in over 400 years. And it has to do with Edward de Vere's quirky spelling. Like when he writes the word your or you, like Y-O-U, he spells it Y-O-W, or like yow. It's kind of unusual spelling. Wouldn't you agree? I mean... Yeah,
I noticed that because, like, you did mention, in some 400 years. Now... That's a big claim, Robert, to say that, he did not write the book, and there's evidence to support that in your view. What other evidence can you bring to the table of your claim, sir, that the book was not intended by William himself?
Okay, so it's not a book. It's so he wrote 154 sonnets. He wrote 35.
It's more of a journal, you're saying, pretty much, right?
No. These are separate.
I'm confused. Okay. Yeah.
So that he wrote 4 long poems. So it's a body of work called the Shakespeare Canon, and it's always been attributed to William Shakespeare, who was born in 1564 and died in 1616. Now, this other guy, Edward de Vere, was born in 1550, and he was an aristocrat who learned Greek at the age of 4. Then he learned Latin. He attended Cambridge University at age 8, and then graduated with honors at age 14. And age 16, he got like a master's degree. So he was a young guy, and
Savage gun.
nor is there one in Latin or Italian. So if you go to the Italian alphabet today and look for the letter J, you won't see it. It's kind of like in Spanish when we say the word Juan, we spell it with a J, but you don't actually pronounce it. Okay, so what I did was I bring 3 proofs or evidences, but this is in the courtroom trial. So I'd like to just review one of them, which is the quirky spelling. And like I said, he spells the word you, Y-O-W. And so there's a website that anybody can, with a cell phone and an internet connection, can double check. It's called Shakespeare's Words, plural.com. And what you can do is you can enter a word, and then on the far right-hand column, you'll see the original text. And you can see the spelling in that original text. So for the word yow, that's what I did. I just put in yow, and it showed up once in the play Pericles by William Shakespeare. So then I was thinking, well, I wonder if there are any more words that have that kind of similar kind of sound, OU, for example. If he were to spell the word hour, for example, HOUR.
Yeah, I see a whole bunch of your notation that you had sent us here to the show with the letters and some of that. I want to get into that, but I want to go back to the whole book you had wrote, The Trial of William Shakespeare, because I want to understand that first before we go into a little bit.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're kind of jumping a little bit. Some of my listeners, they may know who William Shakespeare is, but they may not understand what you're getting at with this, with the whole backstory of William Shakespeare. So if you can go into a little bit of the trial, so some of us can understand a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. So in this trial, the figure William Shakespeare, through the beauty or the artificial intelligence, can appear, like these historical characters can appear in court and testify. And that's what happens. We have Edward de Vere, who goes in a courtroom, and he's interrogated by an attorney named Mike McKinsey. And at the same time, de Vere's attorney, Mike McKinsey, goes back in time and reviews and looks at Edward de Vere's life. So again, it's a fiction, so it's going back in time in the 1580s as well as modern times. So someone told me, yeah, this would make a great film because you could see the flashbacks or the going to and from, and that's kind of like it's a visual kind of thing that's kind of hard to convey over a radio broadcast or even streaming, and it's probably a little easier. But one of the other claims is that there is music found in Shakespeare's plays, and you can, again, do an online search, music in Shakespeare, and you'll see that there are a number of songs that are in the plays of William Shakespeare. And William Shakespeare was not known to be a musician. He was just a guy who was a common man. His father was a glover or a farmer, and Then he allegedly made his way to to London, England, which was like 100 miles from where he lived. So if you can imagine someone from San Diego walking all the way to Los Angeles and finding fame and fortune in Hollywood by writing screenplays, that would be kind of apropos to William Shakespeare and the distance between his home and London. And
You're basically saying that everything about William Shakespeare that we're being told today is a complete fabrication of lies. Like did it take?
Yeah, he was a front. Yeah.
Savage.
Another author. So in this case, there was a movie called Roman Holiday. And if you see the bottom of the movie poster, you can see the screen credit was by Ian McClellan Hunter and story by Ian McClellan Hunter. And Ian McClellan Hunter was a real person. He was a screenwriter. He was born in England, and he received the Oscar for Best Picture for Roman Holiday. We know that that film existed, except that Ian McClellan Hunter never wrote that screenplay. It was actually written by a guy named Dalton Trumbo. And Dalton Trumbo was on the Hollywood blacklist of the 10 writers in Hollywood that the U.S. government feared were spreading communist propaganda. So they had blacklisted him. So what Dalton Trumbo did was he hired what's called an allonym. And this is a person who takes the credit for the screenplay. He receives the paycheck. He takes, he smiles and waves at the camera, and his name is associated. So this happened in 1953. Did you know that it wasn't until like 2014 that Dalton Trumbo was finally given credit? I mean, he tried to find a job. He had written Spartacus. He had written, several different screenplays. Thought he wasn't getting any credit. He was trying to get work.
Yeah, the reason why I mentioned book 2 times in the beginning is because how I was taught, especially in grammar school and maybe a little bit of like middle school towards like 6th or 5th grade, I always thought that there was books included under his name, William Shakespeare. I thought he actually wrote books. No. So when I said, he didn't write the book Shakespeare, you're telling me, well, he did write the book. I'm like, well, that's how I was explained in school. So like, there's a lot of I guess misinformation or possibly, I don't want to blame it on teachers or educators, but a lot of that was explained to us in grammar school of what you're saying now on the show is actually not true. Some of his music and all that, screenplay, he took credit for all of that, but why did he take credit for it? That's my answer, the question actually.
Yeah, and the reason why is Edward de Vere was the 17th Earl of Oxford, and he was kind of like in the rule of succession. If you can imagine the United States government, the president dies, then the vice president, then the Secretary of Defense, then the Secretary of State or whatever. There's a kind of like a line of succession. Well, the Queen of England dies, then it goes to this person and this person, and so there's like a list of people that would be possibly inheritors of the crown, and he was one of the top ones because his family was very old, or their lineage, the earldom of Oxford was really old. So basically, he might stand to lose that. Also, there was an incident that happened in I think it was 1581, where his cousin's husband, a man by the name of John Stubbs, which his name is kind of appropriate because he wrote a pamphlet that said that Queen Elizabeth was too old to bear a child and have an heir for the throne. And soldiers woke him up one fine morning and they brought him to the town square and they chopped off his right hand with a meat cleaver. So anybody who wrote anything against the Queen that was offensive could be either jailed, imprisoned, maimed, or killed off. So it was
Wow.
it was a very dangerous.
I've heard of other people taking credit. Obviously William Shakespeare taking credit off of other people that weren't widely known maybe as much as William Shakespeare. I've heard of people taking credit for the invention of the light bulb, right? Or a lot of people saying that Thomas Edison and everyone else, they weren't the actual inventors of what we're talking about, or they weren't the actual marquees of that experiment or that invention. They just took credit for it because they were higher up during that time frame, and that I guess, well, it wasn't the media; it was maybe local newspaper companies can print it more with their names than other people. When you mention William Shakespeare with other members, other people that had invented that, people are going to be like, "Who the hell's that guy?" Like they're you know what I mean? It's not going to sell in the headlines. Well, but William Shakespeare, he's widely known in this era. So I can understand that now. But wow, okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy that currently there's a lot of money in England that wants to keep the status quo. I mean, it's kind of like a $1 billion business. Shakespeare and the tourism. I come from the world of real estate, and
yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, you're also a realtor as well too.
So yeah, I've been involved in real estate for since 1978, basically. So and the LA market is very competitive. So to just be still standing here for this many years and like selling a house yesterday, it's just kind of crazy. But that beyond itself, it's kind of like if you have a name for yourself and you've got tourism coming in, they want to keep that money coming in. And so it makes sense for them to, what they try to do is downplay any challenges to William Shakespeare. And so you'll have teachers, professors, they will claim like you also believe in the flat earth theory, or you're a conspiracy theorist. That's a big claim. So the belief there is that if William Shakespeare was not the writer that he claims to be, then it would involve this vast conspiracy that would not be able to be unchecked, or people would hear about it. But to that, I would say, if you look at the time that we live in now, we have CCTV, we have people carrying cell phones, everybody, even a homeless. I saw on TV the other night, a homeless guy with a cell phone captures a criminal breaking into a car. I mean, it's crazy. And here,
everybody's their own little independent media journalist, right? With the cell phones, right? They got to capture it in a moment. So I mean, I get it, but I mean,
we have this street artist named Banksy, who yet is still anonymous. People say, it's Robin Gunderson or something like that, but he's still technically anonymous if you do an online search for him. And he's been able to create this anonymity by just having a handful of close, trusted friends. And he's been able to do it for over 20 years now, at least. So I think the same thing could have been done over 400 years with William, well, it would be Edward de Vere, the Earl of Oxford, who was the true author behind the works attributed to William Shakespeare.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking about like 400 years, Robert, of just blatant lies, right? I mean,
yeah. Yeah.
Was it just lost in the moment of the actual background between all these people and William Shakespeare? Like what if we go with these theories here and change the trajectory on how it gets taught in schools, grammar school and middle schools and other schools that teach about William Shakespeare? What would that set? Like, should we go to that avenue? Like,
yeah, I think you could do it real simply. I would just call it Shakespeare. The guy's last name was Vere, Vere. So call it
right.
Shakespeare. There was a guy, an earl, who he'd written all these plays in Latin because back then for plays to be presented before the Queen, they had to be written in Latin. And he thought, why not put them in English and let everyone enjoy them? And so he rewrote them into English.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, I mean, wow. Okay. So, just listening to, you're explaining here with about William Shakespeare, about, who he was, what he wasn't, and the credit that he's taking from other people.
Yeah, he's taken this credit for over 300 years. I mean, now there was a man, his name was Loney, who back in the early 1920s was credited for popping the bubble and claiming that Edward de Vere wrote the works of Shakespeare. So he was, Thomas Loney is the person who discovered all of this. And so this theory's been around for, at least almost 100 years now. And so what you'll get, though, from what they call Stratfordians, people who are Stratfordians are the believers in the man from Stratford, William Shakespeare, son of a Glover. And they will, they're consistently telling anyone that anything else is just a theory and can't be substantiated, but they don't really look closely at the truth. So what my book hopes to do is just get you to say, yeah, you know what, I think there is something to this, and I think it should be investigated further, and I think, let's see where it goes. I mean, the guy... Yeah,
I'm definitely going to take your book for a read, Robert. I haven't read it yet, but I'm gonna look at it. I'm actually going to encourage some of my listeners to take a look at it because it's interesting that you bring up the theory behind the actual character William Shakespeare, on how William Shakespeare really wasn't Shakespeare. I mean, he took credit for a lot of other people's work, and it's interesting. It really is. But if you'd like to plug away, Robert, the floor is yours about, how people can find your book and, other information you'd like to, present to some of the listeners here on Savage Unfiltered. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, yeah. My website is www.robertboog.com. You can also find it on Amazon.com. It's The Trial of William Shakespeare, a love story. I had to put in a love story because I discovered that there were a couple of other books already called The Trial of William Shakespeare, but they had different subtitles. And mine is completely different than any other, and it's completely original. And it's just I want to give some thought to something other than politics, or everyone knows how divided America is and stuff, and why not have something fun to talk about? You can go back and forth on this, and ultimately, though, I want readers to, or just people in general, to just see it for themselves, and not what your sixth grade teacher or your high school teacher, your college professor told you, because I don't think they had all the evidence that we have today. And what's great, again, is that anybody with a cell phone can use it, and you can do a lot of research that could not be done before, because before you needed like a special clearance.
Well, you understand something here, Robert. You just put something here as I close it off with you, buddy. You basically said that anyone with a simple cell phone can look this information up. you also understand that a lot of the information that people bring across, even in classrooms, a lot of these educators, it can be easily fabricated. Like when people are saying, well, William Shakespeare isn't really William Shakespeare. He's taking credit off of other people. That can be easily fabricated. Like you could easily fabricate evidence even through sources of AI. AI, I mean, you can go on AI right now and you can type in something and it's going to generate a story, an image, a video. So,
Sure, and that's
a lot of that. One second. A lot of that stuff is not factual. So, I mean, I'm going to look at your book a little bit more, but I have to challenge the theory. Like, you bring up 400 years of history, evidence. You claim there's solid evidence.
Savaged.
William Shakespeare stole a lot of ideas from other people.
Well, no. What I'm saying here, I live 20 minutes away from Hollywood. So the big thing here in Hollywood, people will send a screenplay to the studios, right? And all the studio has to do is remove the title page and put a new author's name there, like if they like the script, and then they'll sell it to a movie star, or get some names attached, and then they try to make it into a movie. This has been going on for at least 100 years, and so it's no different than that. I mean, the real author, he had the title page of the first folios didn't have the author's name until 1598. 1598 and after is when you start seeing the name Shakespeare on title plays like Romeo and Juliet or The Merchant of Venice and things like that. So what happened in 1598? And the answer is, in 1598, the most powerful man in England, his name was William Cecil. He passed away. And so he was the one who, I believe, was behind the death of Christopher Marlowe and another man by the name of Thomas Kidd. So he, living as a playwright back in those times, was very dangerous because anything could be interpreted.
Robert, may I ask a question here? I hate to play the attack mode, but is there evidence too that you can support this theory here at all, or?
Well, that's in the book, but yeah, what I sent you last
in the book. I mean, I'm talking about solid evidence of what you're referring to. You're bringing up years, 1500s and everything else. Is there evidence, like solid evidence, that you have to support this at all? Or?
Okay, so this is what we're talking about. If you go to the letter that it was just one of many letters from Edward de Vere, where he writes in that letter. I was giving the example of Yao. So he's got a lot of these different spellings that are quirky and unusual, that because William wrote with what's called the secretary hand versus the Edward de Vere wrote under the chancery hand. And the chancery hand is a little bit more formal, and it has the letters I and J in the chancery. So in William Shakespeare's time, when he learned to write English, the capital letter I was not there really. So that's why you see words spelled like with a Y, like king, K-Y-N-G, and or the word trial, T-R-Y-A-L.
Yeah, where did you get this information at, if you don't mind me asking?
I discovered it myself. That's what I'm saying. It's totally original.
Discovered it from where, though?
Okay, so it was a matter of just looking at stuff. I tend to notice little things. So it's kind of like...
but where did you discover it? You keep on saying you discovered it for yourself. Where? Like, I mean... in a library, a historical library.
I'm a big fan of that website.
Museum. Where did you discover that?
Okay, so there's a bookstore. I mean, online for old books. The website is like OOLD or something like that, and it gives the these original old books, old manuscripts that you can browse through. So a lot of what I'm trying to say is like stuff that in the past you would need a special pass or clearance to get at the British Library, they have online. So you can just, anybody with a cell phone, you can go into, another one is the Folger Library. Here's a good one for you, for example. Okay, so we are told that that William Shakespeare attended grammar school, right? He was brought up in Stratford-upon-Avon, and he attended the local grammar school. Now, there is a document at the Folger Library. The Folger Library has the most artifacts of Shakespeare. The guy who sold Folger's coffee, he created this library in Washington.
But if it was in the library about the actual background of Shakespeare, how come it's not being taught that way in schools about?
And this is what I'm saying, that
different type of man.
If you are a college professor or high school teacher or teacher, you're taught that William Shakespeare wrote the plays of and poems and sonnets attributed to William Shakespeare, and anything else is heresy. It's a theory that cannot be proven, and I'm saying that's not.
Michael Gardner Unleashed.
Looked at the evidence.
I'm sorry, guys. I had to get rid of him. He's talking about. He's talking about somebody here. About a famous man by the name of William Shakespeare, and I had to get rid of him. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I was listening to this for almost 25 minutes. 25 minutes, and he's talking about something about how William Shakespeare took for something. With other men and this and that. I'm like, not usually nasty, Joe, but I mean, this guy out there.
Well, this is not a new conspiracy theory. This has been around for a long time.
I understand, but he's going into like how, William Shakespeare is really wasn't a musician. He then he's going into something entirely different, that he said that he sort of just found it.
Yeah. Well, my favorite director, Roland Emmerich, does a movie called Anonymous that talks about all of this. Came out in 2011, I think it was. Roland Emmerich, who did Stargate, The Day After Tomorrow, the Independence Day films, Moonfall lately. So I highly recommend the Anonymous movie.
I'm going to look at his book. I'm going to check out his book, but he's basically saying that the last 400 years of William Shakespeare is a blatant lie.
It could be. I mean, he's not the only
know.
one saying it. It's been a rumor for hundreds of years. I think he's just cashing in on old rumors. I don't think there's.
Yeah, I was asking, like, because me, like, I need to understand, like, where did you discover all this at? He's like, well, I just sort of just discovered it. I'm like, where? Tell me
Could have
about
been from the movie.
I mean, conspiracy theory, but it is what it is. I don't know, guys. Check out the book. He's got a book out called The Trial of William Shakespeare by Robert Boog. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to see, what's in this book. I normally don't take people off a camera, but he was kind of going just off the rails, with some of his wording, and some of it just wasn't making sense. So,
well, you know me, Jokester Joe. I can't pass on this. Boog. Yeah. So the boogeyman.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know me, can't resist the lame puns.
Yeah, but until next time, guys. Take it easy. Be savage, not average. We'll see you next time.